Well, 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 the Dragon Commander himself. Come, sit, drink with me. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. He's had a few too many. But you'd take to the rye too if you had an imp apparatus for an arm. Never told you how I came by this eyesore, did I? 'Twas during the great and glorious last stand to save the Empire. Horse shit! We fought like lions so that king, your bloody father, could scarper with what riches he could hold. But my soldiers did their duty. They died where they stood, and I was left for dead, want of an eye and an arm. You have the respect of Maxos, and that certainly speaks in your favor. But you'll need to come a long way yet to prove unto me you're not just another pampered prince he yanked away from his mother's teat. So what'll you have then? Mead or milk? Commander, a word in your ear. There seems to be a spot of trouble in one of the provinces. Some lizard rebels running amok. Naught but a little trifle that Prosper has requested us to deal with, but she wants me and bloody Edmund to go together. Yes, he's a lizard too, it stands to reason, but the man's as pleasant as a cactus down your trousers. So if you don't mind, I'll go alone. You want me to practice my speaking skills with Edmund? I'll be practicing skittles with his balls before the day is out. You know that cold-blooded cretin annoys me to no end. I'll follow your orders, Commander. But we're supposed to quell an uprising, you know, not add fuel to the fire. We've returned from our mission, Commander. All's well among the lizards again. No more praise for the one god anymore, but proper praise for the 7, or whatever floats their boat. I was hoping for at least some resistance, so that I could spill a mite of their cold blood. But there was none to be had. Diplomacy, a.k.a. idle chatter, saved the day. Wasn't such a bad thing looking back on it, that serpent of an Edmund tagged along. Obviously we were plotting each other's demise from the get-go, but when push came to shove, we both wanted to appear the greater general. Forced us to bring our A-game. Long story short, the cultists renounced their evil ways and were accepted back into society. Boring as fig stew, but Prosper is over the moon. She can stay there for all I care. By all the gods, real or imaginary, devils take my manhood if that Catherine creature isn't a bigger bitch than a mountain-sized mastiff. So what if I wage war by my own rules and care little for her so-called team tactics? That's no reason to question my ability. She's lucky she has tits to prove she's not a man, or I'd have beaten her more savagely than a dwarf his anvil. Besides, what's the use of standing shoulder to shoulder when you know the fellow next to you will run once the swords start ringing and the blood begins to flow? Aye, that's what happened to me the day I lost my arm. I stood my ground, alone, and the rest of the Emperor's generals? They outran their wives and their litter trying to escape. So much for loyalty. So much for duty. I find it a lot easier to tell the benefit of the doubt that it can go shag itself. But if you insist, Commander, I'll give the others a chance. Though I'm sure they'll prove to be a bigger disappointment than looking for a brothel in an elf town. Commander, so I took your counsel to heart and decided I should give my fellow generals a chance to prove they are worthy of my esteemed friendship and perhaps even trust. What better test I could put them to, I ask myself, than the holy game of poker? See who's shrewd, behold who bluffs, descry who dares and when. So that's what I did, rounded 'em up and played from dusk till dawn. You were right. They're not a bad bunch once you get to know 'em. Obviously I left their purses emptier than Yurik's skull, which does do wonders for my temper. Can't rightly say it endeared me to them, but I sure as hell like to see more of them once this month's wages come in. Good to see you, Commander. I've been meaning to thank you for the role you've played in the rescue of my dear daughter Anne. 'Twould have been another story entirely had Catherine and Scarlet not come to my aid. Wonders of women! You should have seen us, and we reached before those bloody assassins did, but they beset us in far greater numbers than we could have foreseen. They used imp-throwing bombs, lizard arrows tipped with poison, dwarf axes that can cut through steel, but we held them off time and time again. We three duelists, shoulder to shoulder. Of course, there was a touch of collateral damage, I suppose. One of those imp devices rolled right into an undead kindergarten. But really, those skeletal scamps are already dead to begin with, right? I thought it was rather funny. A shower of bones, it was, came clattering down like dry hail. Is that a reason to be a killjoy and scream bloody murder? 'Cause that's what those God-be-damned counselors of yours are doing. They demand restitution and the likes. I've half a mind to demonstrate what functionalities come with this arm of mine, and where they can put 'em. So what happens next? I have to pay a fine or something? Do community service for the undead? Air out some crypts and polish their coffins? By every demon arse in hell, the things we do for our children, Commander. It's over, Commander. I stood before a tribunal, was described as a maniac, a vandal, an arsonist, and even a murderer. But I bore it all with quiet dignity, my jaws clenched tighter than Prosper's arse. They took my land, my titles, what gold I had stored, but I stood in silence, not giving them the satisfaction of showing my rage. Quite a change from the hothead Henry you know and love, isn't it, Commander? 'Twas down to Catherine and Scarlet, you know. Never would I have let those bastard counselors unleash their barrage of rage of injustice over me, had I not rested easily in the knowledge that thereby I was shielding the friends who came to my aid without as much of a thought for their own safety. My daughter came to no harm, and neither did my comrades in arms. All is well. Now, to toast them all with wine and beer, again and again. It'll have to be your treat, though, Commander. I'm penniless now, remember? They can afford to keep me like a king. It's not because I'm broke that I'll forego grog down my gullet, steak in my stomach, or broads in my bed. Not on your life, Commander. Come to have a chat, Commander. Just as well, for I've been meaning to have a word with the dragon myself. Remember when I told you about losing my arm and eye? How I lost it standing guard for your father, an emperor unworthy of his throne? Well, telling you got me thinking, as well as drinking, and here's the conclusion I've come to. I was different then, you see, and not just because I was more man and less machine. No, the days they hacked me up good, there was much more that I lost. In that arm lay stored loyalty and duty. In that eye, trust and friendship. Out the door, just like that. But lately, they've been clawing at it, wanting to come back in. We've got a bunch of fine generals here, Commander. And there's Edmund too, but let's not open that particular can of worms. No, it's the girls, Scarlet and Catherine. Guess I've never come closer to a woman without wanting to get in their pants. I respect them as officers, I really do, and I think that should history repeat itself, they would stand by me as we make our last stand, not run like the mongrels that still stain my memories. If there's trust to be had, I think they've earned mine, Commander, as have you. The sins of your father need not be yours. You have my sword and my friendship too. There, now you know. So enough of this sentimental elf talk, and let's drink to us, to the Raven, to victory!